और चलिए अब आपको सीधे लिए चलते हैं गोवा, जहां निम्स के चेयरमैन BS तोमर इस समय बोल रहे हैं।
It's me immense pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to you all on behalf of knowledge partner of this event, NIMS University, to this most awaited QS India Summit 2023 on India's global vision, building universities for a knowledge economy. Let me join QS India and all of you to welcome our Chief Guest of the evening, Honorable Minister of State of Education, Government of India, Dr. Subhash Sarkar. Special guest of today evening, Honorable Minister Sri Arjun Jagrawal is on the way from the airport. The special guest of honor, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture of India, Srimati Meenakshi Lekhi ji, along with all other participant dignitaries. Let me congratulate QS India, Jessica Turner, CEO of QS, Dr. Ashwin Fernandez, Regional Director, Middle East, Africa and South Asia, Professor John Freshwater, Vice Chancellor, University of Auckland, New Zealand and host of this event, Dr. Ram Sharma, Vice Chancellor, UPES University, Professor Rajkumar, Founder VC of OP Jindal Global University, a very strong message, and all other speakers who are participating in this mega events to make this event a landmark in Indian global vision for building universities for a knowledge economy. Well, we all are here to discuss on how strong universities can facilitate and boost innovation, research and overall economic growth of India and globally. Recently, following on footprint of India's global vision, India has achieved remarkable progress towards building university at par excellence with global universities by launching National Education Policy 2020 under dynamic leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. The Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has said, Atmanirbhar Bharat is not about being self-contained or being close to the world. It is about being self-sustaining and self-generating. The another vision of Atmanirbhar University and Atmanirbhar higher education system is truly inspiring. It combines the vision of the modern research university to create a new global university which is multidisciplinary, inclusive, aspiration and international, which will surely take India towards achieving 5 trillion economical growth of the country under the dynamic leadership of our Prime Minister Modi ji. Today, QS ranking, university ranking here have become a part of institutional aspiration, a growth for many universities and higher education institutions in India to rank all of them at par with global universities and institutions. India education system is one of the oldest systems, as Professor Ram has told, that we have to go back when we were from the Vedic time, Nalanda and Takshila, where there were prominent institutions, very old days. Charak and Sushastra were the ancient Indian physicians and surgeons. They were the father and foundation of the Ayurveda and modern medicine. So the Indian culture of this education is very old. Now, let me congratulate Dr. Ashwin Fernandez for a recent book on India's knowledge supremacy, into which he has described in detail about how Indian education system evolved in present shape. As we witnessing India's presidency over G20 this year, and as India believes in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, means world is one family, and also an opportunity to share what the country has achieved in the education sector, particularly after the launch of National Education Policy 2020, which predominantly offers a unique opportunity for countries to collaborate and raise awareness about the importance of quality education. Universities are the backbone of a knowledgeable society. They not only make educated individuals, they shape their character, building a knowledge economy. The university being its foundation will surely build a society that has ideas, skill, talent, opportunities and advancement. I am sure this event will be a better platform where we can exchange ideas, discuss the best practices, and unveil the new opportunities of strategic collaboration to ensure a progressive educational interface for all and a drive of India with the global vision of making India as a knowledge hub. This is the most important for we, India, and our vision of our Prime Minister. With this, I thank all of you and thank you very much. Have a nice time. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tomar, for your kind words. We look forward to interacting with you over the next 2 days. With great honor, I would like to invite our guest of honor for the evening, Srimati Meenakshi Lekhi ji, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, Government of India, to address the gathering.
Thank you very much, Dr. Subhash Sarkar, Ms. Jessica Turner, Ashwin, Professor Freshwater, Professor Rajkumar ji, Mr. Ram Sharma, Dr. Tomar, ladies and gentlemen. Honor and pleasure to be here and listening to some very erudite words from very learned people. But I'm here in the capacity of Minister for External Affairs and Culture. Keeping the two perspectives together and bringing a perspective which I feel the world needs to know about us. The world needs to understand where our thought process is coming from and the distance we have traveled away and distance we need to travel to our destination. And thus, I must explain a few things because we heard many people, Professor Rajkumar and Professor Ram, talk about the great ancient Indian heritage, and I was very pleased to meet some people who are right now in the audience, but some great minds who have a lot of affection, a lot of respect for Indian ethos and value system. But still, I feel in communication, many things get lost because we at times are not able to explain the complexities of this society. And complexities of our societies are such complex that people look at, I was watching the dance, the Kuchipudi dancers said this, and the gentleman, the young man here who was the MC, said this dance describes the diversity of India. And in my heart I was saying, sorry, does it describe diversity or it describes unity? Because Kuchipudi dance is one dance form. The other ancient dance form could be Bharatnatyam, not very far off, but very close to present-day Andhra. The third could be very far off Manipur. And the fourth could be somewhere up north, down south, up north, east and west. The common factor which each dancer will be singing and dancing on will probably be prayer to Lord Vinayak. So it's the perspective of looking at things as we are diverse or we are same, and one of the Vedic or the Upanishadic thought is that there is one truth, ekam satya vipra bahuda vadanti, which means truth is one, but the wise men speak it differently. So the wise people of the world speak it differently, but the truth is what the science, the technology, the value system is all about. Everybody wants to be happy. Is there anyone who doesn't want to be happy? The way to be happy could be very different for different people, for different cultures, for different systems. But when the Prime Minister says one earth, one family, and I would take one step forward, I will cross that line and I say, maybe one kind of university system. Maybe at least within the country we are trying to bring back oneness of education system, because when we say that we are a federal structure,
तस्वीरें हम आप तक पहुंचा रहे हैं। ये तस्वीरें आप देख सकते हैं और आपको बता दें कि यहां निम्स यूनिवर्सिटी के चेयरमैन डॉक्टर बलबीर सिंह तोमर मौजूद हैं। उन्होंने अभी अभी संबोधित किया है क्यूएस इंडिया समिट को। इस दौरान आपको बता दें कि केंद्रीय मंत्री मीनाक्षी लेखी भी आपको तस्वीरों में नजर आएंगी। कई देशों की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के जो चेयरमैन हैं वो यहाँ पर पहुँचे हैं। निम्स यूनिवर्सिटी के चेयरमैन को आप तस्वीरों में देख सकते हैं, वो आपको तस्वीरों में नजर आएंगे। डॉक्टर BS तोमर, उन्होंने अभी अभी अपना संबोधन खत्म किया है। तस्वीरें हम आपको सीधी इस समय गोवा की दिखा रहे हैं। तो गोवा में क्यूएस समिट 2023 का आयोजन किया जा रहा है। इस आयोजन में कई यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के जो चेयरमैन हैं वो शामिल हो रहे हैं, मौजूद हैं। और आपको बता दें कि निम्स यूनिवर्सिटी के चेयरमैन और चांसलर प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर बलबीर सिंह तोमर को भी आप तस्वीरों के जरिए देख सकते हैं। तो सीधी तस्वीरें गोवा की हैं, जहां पे इस समय क्यूएस समिट 2023 का आयोजन किया जा रहा है। इस आयोजन में शामिल होने के लिए निम्स यूनिवर्सिटी के चेयरमैन डॉक्टर बलबीर सिंह तोमर को भी आमंत्रित किया गया। उसकी तस्वीरें भी हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं, जो इस समय वो मौजूद हैं। उन्होंने अभी अभी संबोधित किया है। तस्वीरें सीधी आ रही हैं, वो तस्वीरें हम आप तक लगातार पहुंचा रहे हैं। बेहद अहम, बेहद खास ये कार्यक्रम, जहां पे केंद्रीय मंत्री मीनाक्षी लेखी भी पहुंची हैं। तस्वीरें हम आप तक पहुंचा रहे हैं लगातार। गोवा से क्यूएस इंडिया समिट 2023 का ये आयोजन किया जा रहा है गोवा में। और यहां आपको बता दें कि देश के कई यूनिवर्सिटीज के चेयरमैन जो हैं वो इसमें शामिल हो रहे हैं। ये जो कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया जा रहा है, तस्वीरें सीधी आ रही हैं, वो हम आप तक पहुंचा रहे हैं। क्यूएस इंडिया समिट 2023 गोवा से ये तस्वीरें।
Probably slide down. They did not have the facilities of the labs and things which they probably needed it. Now comparing the two situations, and I'll tell you it's coming from my background as a Minister of Culture, who's very proud of my own culture and take a lot of interest in the activities that we do and try to understand that perspective, that how and why things happen the way they happened. So cultural aspect is that 3000 BC we were producing universities. The very first university of the world, which Takshila, many people on the dais have already spoken about it. But few facts I must share. Takshashila was a university which is presently Pakistan, erstwhile India. And look where Pakistan is. And what happened to the place which produced the world's first university. So if you change the thought process, a lot of changes happen with it. So culture has a very, very important aspect of thought building and thought around knowledge building, knowledge around building the world. So thought, the right character in the student becomes so imperative that it's not the brilliance, it is the character which will bring the right things to the table. And I sometimes jokingly say, you see the two people who are bright and which the world has experienced, one with the same brightness, the same scientist would produce the DNA of a virus, the other would use the same DNA to produce the vaccine. So it's the character, not necessarily the brilliance alone which matters. And that character building necessarily has to be part of the education system. That thinking right, what is correct. Takshashila at that time used to have more than 10,450 students, which is documented. And these students came from Far East, which is probably present-day China, came from Greece, which was probably the extreme west that time, came from Middle East, which was Mesopotamian civilization. So all over, the Arabs, Egyptians, all over whatever the world was at that time, known civilizations, all those people were visiting those universities and getting the best education. And that best education, some Chinese travelers have also noted in later phase, that they were running a hospital, and that hospital was not only for the humans, but there was a hospital for the animals as well. And people who would accompany the ailing and the sick would also get free of cost food and live as long as the inmate was getting treated. Education was free, living, boarding was free, lodging was free, and only need to get admitted was that supatra, meaning you should be in a position to receive that education. So what mattered was your capacity to absorb, to be educated. These were the foundations on which Indian ancient knowledge system was vested. And the fact, I'm sorry, not boasting, it sounds like a boast, but still comparing the societies. And as academics, we all can have that thought that without being party one way or the other, we can look at the facts. So I'm just producing another fact that in the Middle Ages, the world which we call today the developed world was debating whether the surface of the earth, the shape of the earth, is flat or round. That is the developed world I'm talking about. By that time, what you call Kepler's laws today had already been defined a few thousand years ago. What we call Fibonacci number today was a decipherment which had happened a few thousand years before Fibonacci came on this planet. And Fibonacci, interestingly, in his own papers, admits that fact. He, in his paper, says, I got these numbers from Indians, but the world doesn't know that. World has not even chosen to go to Fibonacci's paper to see what Fibonacci had written. This is the pity, that when we are talking about education, we are not training people to go into the resource material. If we do not allow people to learn, what are we doing? We are parroting lines which have been told to us by X, by Y, by Z, the same elephant story. That whether you're holding a snake or you're holding a foot or you're holding the trunk, you don't know it's the elephant. I think somewhere these combinations need to happen, and thus I believe that intertwining these subjects, the cross-culture thing, the cross-academic approach, and also the cross-universities approach. There is no one who is right, there is no one who's knowledge, who lacks that knowledge. I think idea is the moment I look at someone and I feel that this person will always have something more to teach me, I will be a supatra. I will be there to receive that. The moment I think, oh, who can teach, who can tell, I have already given up on my learning process. So I believe the interaction between universities has to be such that there is a lot which India has already stored up. That recognition must come, and when this country has produced 108 unicorns in about 8 years, 7 years time, then potential is huge. So it's not just about knowledge, but it's knowledge which brings money on the table. And that money which can be used for building more and more universities and making education more and more inclusive. I'm sorry I diverted from my thoughts, but that's how my head works. I was just thinking aloud, and I'll go back to my original thought. And the original thought was that the ancient value system is what India had. Today, we have completed 75 years of India's independence. One must check that record also. So, a country which had such fantastic education system, but has also been subjugated, not just by the British, but other systems as well. And in that process, a lot of knowledge was lost. A lot of books were burnt, a lot of libraries were burnt in this country. Now, who burns a library? I mean, but all that is the thing of the past that happened. But even today, we possess still 50 lakh, which is like 5 million and above, epigraphs till date intact, which is all based in Sanskrit. And those epigraphs, I think more and more we study, the more historical perspective, scientific perspective, and other perspectives will come forward. And that should as much be part of the modern education. When we talk about medicine, I was talking to a gentleman who's heading the public health department in one of the universities in UK. I was just thinking, I say, you know, when we talk about medicine, the equipment and instruments which we use today come from Sushruta Samhita. How many people know that? It's documented, by the way. So I think the world needs to know that when we talk about our religion, the religion was basically all the rishis and the saints had a different perspective from the other major religions of the world. Where the religion was part of your social life, and it also had the scientific method of working. The rishis and munis were nothing but scientists. And these scientists were working on molecules, theorizing, mathematics, distance between Earth and the Moon, thinking about how the planetary motions happen, and writing all that. And even Ayurveda is part of one of the same scientific doctrine